And I think we could wrap things up with some snow Thursday night into Friday. I'll have more on this coming up.
Thanks, Jamie. Let's get to your top headlines tonight. These stories are real new now. The right to medical marijuana passed in Missouri in 2018. Could full legalization be on the way in 2020? Our Jesse Inman takes a look.
Proposed legislation in Jeff City would put free hygiene products in girls' bathrooms at schools across the state, while a lawmaker says that change is needed.
And the impeachment trial of Donald Trump is now officially underway. We have the latest from Washington. Ozarks Fox News at 9 starts right now.
Real, new, now. This is Ozarks Fox News at 9.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John Adams.
And I'm Jennifer Abreu. We are just over a year into Missouri's medical marijuana program being in effect, and patients are still waiting on access to the product.
But despite that, there are already rumblings that a recreational marijuana initiative could be on the ballot this fall.
Our Jesse Inman sat down with an industry expert today to get an idea of what we may be looking at with this. Jesse, what can you tell us?
Well, guys, there have already been ballot initiatives filed with the Secretary of State's office that, if passed, would legalize adult use of recreational marijuana, just like 11 other states in the United States have already done. Now, one of those initiatives has been approved for the process of gathering signatures in support for such an amendment. And today, I sat down with a board member of the Missouri Cannabis Trade Association, Chip Shepard, and he told me that gathering those signatures, which are due in mid-May, would be pretty tough to accomplish because they would need around 160,000 to even get that on the ballot for November 3rd of this year. Now, the initiative under the campaign name Missourians for a New Approach is funded by the National New Approach PAC, and it would allow adults 21 or older to possess and purchase up to an ounce of marijuana and would put a 15% tax on those sales that would go towards veteran services, infrastructure, and substance misuse treatment. Now, Shepard, who worked on the campaign for medical cannabis, says that this isn't something that they expected to happen so soon.
So none of us that led the campaign for medical thought there was any chance of recreational or any push for recreational for at least 4, 6, 8 years. But then the attitudes across the country, including Missouri, have changed. And so now I think that there's a really good chance that it would happen.
So, Jesse, what does this mean for people who have already invested a lot of money, thousands of dollars, into applying and trying to get approved for business license for medical marijuana?
Well, Shepard told me today that according to that initiative, the people who, have already gone into the medical marijuana industry and been approved for those licenses would really get the first crack at getting approved for the recreational licenses when it comes to that. And he says it would likely be easier for those folks just because, they've already gone through a scoring process with the state and everything like that.
So where exactly are we on the process for the medical marijuana part of it right now?
Yeah, on that topic right now, we've already learned where the cultivation and manufacturing facilities will be and where those are in the state. Now, the big question that everybody has been wanting to know is where will the dispensaries be located? And according to what the state has been saying for the past few months, January 24th, which is this Friday, is the date that those will be announced. And Shepard told me that he thinks by the end of the summer, patients could have product on the shelves for access, but lots of things factor into that, so we'll see.
All right, we'll see. January 24th, we'll have that information on Friday. Jesse, thank you.
Well, keeping crime in focus tonight, 3 cars were stolen and recovered within the last 24 hours here in Springfield. Greene County deputies say car thefts aren't unusual, but it's rare how fast they found each of these vehicles. Captain Mark Stager says most stolen cars are typically found abandoned over time, but last night deputies recovered all 3 cars within hours of each other. 4 people were arrested and no one was hurt. Stager says he's unsure how the cars were stolen, but he has advice for other drivers so that this doesn't happen to them.
We recommend that they don't leave their vehicle running unoccupied. So we recommend that they, if their vehicle's parked, that they make sure their vehicle is locked and that they have their keys with them, or at least not in the vehicle. We also ask that they don't leave valuables within plain sight of the vehicle or inside the vehicle, where if somebody walking by sees a valuable item, they don't try to break into the vehicle or something like that.
Police say they do see an increase in car thefts during 2 seasons, summer and winter.
Well, changes to how Amber Alerts are filed in Missouri may be the reason why a mother and a child were located within 15 minutes last Friday. With Haley's Law, instead of faxing a form into the Highway Patrol, officers can fill it out wherever they are on a computer. The Springfield Police Department has that digital process in place, which it says made a big difference Friday night. Authorities say a man in Seymour called in after seeing a car matching the description of that Amber Alert. The child's mother was located 15 minutes after the alert was sent. Major Vance Holland says he considers this case a success.
That's exactly how the system's supposed to work. You know, the Amber Alert was created to try to get the media and the public involved, to be our eyes and ears out there to help get the information out and ultimately, you know, catch the suspect.
Haley's Law requires a committee of 5 people to meet once a year to oversee its progress, but so far only 2 people have been appointed to this committee by Governor Parson.
Well, new at 9 tonight, a Missouri lawmaker is hoping to get free feminine hygiene products in school bathrooms across the state. The bill was filed by State Representative Martha Stevens, who is a Democrat from Columbia. Our Madison Heaver has been following this story today. Madison, what did you learn?
Yeah, John. I spoke with Care to Learn. They help students who financially struggle with hygiene, hunger, and health. The proposed bill would have the state pay to stock feminine hygiene products in bathrooms at schools with grades 6 through 12. If passed, districts themselves would not have to pay for feminine hygiene products. Instead, the state would pay for them. According to Missouri Net, it would cost about $1 million a year. Christian Mecklin with Care to Learn says this would help the agency put resources toward other means to help students.
This would be huge. To be able to say in a blanket statement that girls in school have access to essential items, that would allow us to put those resources towards other parts of our mission. It's important because we know that a student who doesn't have access to feminine hygiene products, who doesn't have access to these resources, is going to miss potentially 30 to 35 days of school per year. You can't be successful when that's your attendance rate. You can't expect students to keep up when they are forced out of school because of a lack of these resources.
Now, this bill is similar to another bill currently in the House. That one aims to reduce taxes on feminine hygiene products and diapers.
All right, Madison, thanks. Moving to political coverage now. A Springfield man just became one of the youngest executive directors for a state or county party in the U.S. Sam Smith, at the age of 20, was just hired to be the executive director for the Greene County Democrats. He says he's very honored to be chosen for this position and is well aware of the criticism he may face. In recent years, he says he's seen a lot more young people become involved in politics, and here's why.
Trump getting elected has really played a role in that. A lot of young people kind of saw that as a call to action. A lot of us, especially as the nation gets more diverse, have a lot of friends who might be affected by LGBT laws that, you know, we see as more strict, by immigration laws that a lot of us are concerned with.
Smith encourages other young people to reach out to Greene County Democrats if they want to pursue a career in politics or be involved in any way.
The president's impeachment trial erupted into a partisan battle today. The first full day of proceedings opening with debate over the trial's rules moving forward. Well, like the Clinton trial, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell proposed giving each side 24 hours to make their case, conceding 3 days rather than 2. But Democrats argued McConnell's plan is far from fair, including not automatically admitting House evidence, limiting the allotted time for opening remarks, and requiring a Senate vote before allowing witnesses.
The process for the Clinton trial was worked out by mutual consent among the parties. That is not true here.
7 Democrats will represent the House managers who argue the president is guilty of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, whereas 8 House Republicans have been added to the president's defense team to help make the case that the president's actions do not warrant impeachment.
Well, checking in with our local weather now. Jamie, a pretty messy next few days we'll be having. What is going on out there tonight?
Well, right now we're looking at quiet weather. It's cold, but not near as cold as we've seen, and it looks like it's going to stay dry overnight tonight through that morning drive into work or school. After that, though, yeah, things are going to get messy in terms of the weather. We'll have more on that after the break.